The next scholar is Swami Madhurananda. Swamiji is the assistant editor of the Order's English journal, Prabhupada Bharat, originally founded by Swami Vivekananda. Swamiji joined at our branch center in Buenos Aires in Argentina for the last 14 years. 14 years Swamiji has been staying in India. Now he is in Mayavati as the assistant editor of Prabhupada Bharat. He will present his paper on understanding sacred art through different cultures and religions.
Dear Swami Bhajananda Maharaj, Pranam. Dear Swami Supanananda Maharaj, dear monks and distinguished brothers. As I'm going to end with a question to the audience, to the scholars, first I would like to do a little acknowledgement especially to Swami Supanananda and all those who have organized this seminar for having faith in a relatively junior son of a non-Indian origin to expose on such technical subject in front of Indian scholars and artists. I hope to live up to your expectation, Maharaj. I also want to acknowledge Jagannath Maharaj. Your arrangements, brothers, are exceptional. I also want to acknowledge to Swami Narasimhanandaji Maharaj, who has provided the equipment and given a final touch to this presentation. We are monks. We have an access to art that is not for a sense of enjoyment. It is as a tool in our journey towards the goal, final goal. So we consider that either in its production or in its appreciation as that tool. So we talk from that point of view. And since we generally don't speak in first person, first singular, but art is subjective in many aspects. And yesterday, Swami Bhajananda gave his own experience. I feel a little encouraged to tell something that I also feel. Actually felt when I saw for the first time some images of a son of this land, the son of Bengal, that is Jamini Roy. The very first time I saw his paintings, without knowing who he was, I immediately felt the work of Sister Nivedita has been accomplished. Part of the work of Sister Nivedita has been accomplished. Afterwards, I came to know that he was the foremost disciple of Abanindranath Tagore, and as you know, Abanindranath Tagore was one of those artists that gathered around Sister Nivedita, who have done no other thing than expanding the ideas of Swami Vivekananda, who in turn expanded the ideas of Sri Ramakrishna. What I mean is in the paintings of Jamini Roy and some other Indian artists of that time, we find that national character that Sister Nivedita wanted to infuse through art and in art. I think that at present, many Indian artists have the capacity to imbibe much of other traditions and at the same time give to their productions the Indianness that mark that characteristic of the painting in this land. Now, I think it is not a closed chapter, of course, but I think we have to pay attention to some other thing of Nivedita that she gave emphasis, she tried in her school, that is the inculcation in the introduction of qualities there, but a little more intense, of appreciation of art in the educational system of India. If you take a boy from class 1 and then when it ends in class 12, just giving 1 hour per week you have 12 years of training a kid in appreciation of art. You raise the appreciation of the art in the masses, and you automatically raise the level of the artist. You raise the level of the artist, and you raise the level of the culture. And this is Swamish's idea. Now, appreciation of art is very important. We will discuss this when we come to the Indian point of view of art. And as you have seen, if you take all the comments of Swami Vivekananda on art, you will find that the majority of them are descriptions of non-Indian art. And also, Nivedita was very particular to encourage her disciples, or the artists that gather around her, to open their eyes, to come out of themselves, see what is going on around the world in the field of art, and then produce something authentic from here. So appreciation of art is very important. And to appreciate art, it's not something that one needs to have a particular quality. It can be developed. It does not mean that one has to be on the field of art. An engineer, a doctor, anyone can appreciate art if it is properly trained. The topic that we are going to discuss is a bit specific. Sacred art is a specific kind of art, and we are forced to see it through different traditions and cultures, because there is no universal definition of sacred art. What is sacred in one tradition may not be in another. On what one culture has put emphasis on, another culture considers it relative. So we have to see it from different angles to finally try to understand how India sees sacred art. But first thing we can say, that before the 17th century, much of the art produced in the world was religious by nature. After the Industrial Revolution, it started to become a kind of mark, kind of definition. Is traditional art, religious art, and sacred art are three different things, what previously was not there. However, to understand sacred art, if we really want to go to the essence of spirituality in art, we have to come out of ourselves, again quoting Vedanta, and see a piece of art not with our eyes of today or from the tradition to which we belong, but try to empathize to the tradition in which that piece of art has been produced and with the eyes of the people of those days. So empathy. Empathy is the key word. And empathy, as you know, if we practice real empathy, not just appreciation or respect, real empathy, we are approaching to that concept, basic concept of Vedanta, that is oneness. The concept of oneness that has been developed in India like nowhere else is very much at play at the time to appreciate what is spiritual in a piece of art. So we will start with Taoist painting. The moment we stand in front of a Taoist painting, landscape painting from China particularly, we have to have present one thing, the concept of Tao, the universal rhythm, the universal order that is more or less close to our concept of rhythm. And the concept of Tao has two elements, the yang and the yin. And the yang and the yin also can be somehow compared with our concept of Purusha and Prakriti. Now, in the tradition of China, in the Taoist painting, the yang is generally represented by mountains, and the yin is represented by water. This interplay that we see in the landscape paintings of Taoism, it is translated in a kind of linear structures in a game of yang and yin to bring that cosmic order, that concept of Tao. We see at the end where all the things are, water is calm, the mountain is less, and the observer is there, the sadhaka, you may say. So these basic elements, with these basic elements, we can interact in a different way with a Taoist painting, with a painting from this tradition. Each of these art is extraordinary. It will appear, I think, in the book, so you can see. You will be exposed to all this painting for maybe 30 seconds. You may consider that it's not real justice to these high-quality paintings, but in the books you can appreciate them longer. Here we have a Sadaka, also searching for the Tao, and the Tao is light. We will talk about that. Always that interplay of water. Here water is suggested here, and he goes against the yin to reach the Tao. Now, Buddhism, that was born in India, when it enters China, encounters the Taoist techniques of painting. So the meeting point of these two traditions has been the concept of shunya from Buddhism and the concept of non-being from Taoism. Now, how this translates into art? One of the, I mentioned some points, the most prominent, big empty areas are very common in the Taoist and Buddhist paintings of that period. And the other is the use of light, the extraordinary use of light. There is in Taoist Buddhist paintings, landscapes, there are no source of light. No object has shadow. So it is as shunya is shining everywhere. And we will see, for example, this extraordinary painting on close-up. It is a lonely monastery in the mountains. We see how the details of the brushes and the trees represent the toughness of monastic life. What happens when we cross that toughness? What is the reward? Light, shunya. And it is represented by what? By the absence of ink. Almost the plain paper is there. It is an extraordinary use of light that they have done. We can see some peasants coming back to home after a day of work, singing, and other things that everyday life is there, and they are missing the real life. Extraordinary, subtle combinations of elements. We have to go into running. Buddhist painting developed what is called the dhyana method. The artist has to concentrate on the object he wants to represent and then detach from it so that he can automatically express the essence of that painting, that object. Now, when we go to the farthest refinement of Taoist Buddhist painting, we have to come to Japan. And all of you know very well how much great pride Swami Vivekananda have about the art of Japan. Here we have to talk about Zen Buddhist techniques. Zen Buddhism is characteristic for its aesthetic elegance, economy of resources, simplicity, purity. We found that now that the dhyana method of the Buddhist has gone still refined, and now the artist has to try to go to the essence of the object, so that finally, with a few strokes, he can represent that. We found no more religious symbols, no monastery, no sadakas. The purity, the play of water now, water is a mist, more subtle. Mountains are also there. This is an extraordinary panel on six pieces. Just what is the purpose? Is inviting the mind to get calm, inviting the mind to meditate. That is the purpose of Taoist Buddhist painting. Zen monks, Zen artists in the beginning were monks. They were trying to encourage people into the path, and why not, into enlightenment. This is a very, very important, I should say, masterpiece in the Zen Buddhist tradition, done by one of the greatest artists, Japanese artists of all time, Kami Yu. Let us do a blow up. It is representing the sixth patriarch at the time of enlightenment. It is very important in the tradition. It is something like representing the moment that Sri Ramakrishna got the vision of Mother for the first time in the temple of Dakshineshwar. So it has historical importance. And it probably took, we guess, it probably took the painter, how much? 5 minutes, 10 minutes to produce this extraordinary piece of art. But how much sadhana, how much work is behind these few strokes? He was concentrated in the essence of what he was going to represent, and that was not an object, it was nothing less than enlightenment. So if we try to connect to that essence, we ourselves connect to that essence. Now, let us come down to the earth, let us be sincere. Almost none of us belong to the Zen tradition. It is quite difficult to empathize with one piece of art of a different tradition all of a sudden. It requires a process. We intellectually know some elements, or emotionally simply like, because after all, art is visions, visual contact. All these words that we are putting are something to have a kind of guide, but we can intellectually or emotionally link. But being repeatedly exposed, the mind and the heart also, with all its emotional baggage, goes aside and the soul connects with the piece of art. But again, you may ask, why so missing? Why we need to put so much effort, time, and all what implies to try to understand a piece of art of another tradition, when in the tradition that I belong, there is so much art, so rich, so vast, so much spiritual art with which I can connect immediately. Why should I do such a big effort? Because this, as Sri Ramakrishna told when he saw this picture for the first time, this is the ideal of the modern times. The whole purpose of a monk of the Ramakrishna mission talking on sacred art in an institution as a mission is to try to understand art in the same spirit that Sri Ramakrishna understood or practiced different religions. He empathized fully, not partially. And whatever time, to him took very little time,